Okay, fantasy booking is back. I got a lot of positive feedback from my first attempt at it, so I figured I'd take another shot. For this video, I'm going to give my take on booking the Jay Lethal SoCal Val Sonjay Dutt storyline. Now this is going to be more soap opera-ish than I like storylines to be normally, but this angle has been pretty soapy since it started, so I'm not going to go against the grain or make any jarring changes to it now. And again, I'm going to have everything make as much sense as I can. I'm not going to do anything that's going to seem grossly out of character for anybody, okay? Now, obviously on Impact last Thursday, we all saw they did the angle where Jay Lethal asked SoCal Val to marry him at Slammiversary. Now, I'm not a fan of wedding angles in general. I think they're, just too goofy. But it's in the storylines now. It's going to happen. So I'm giving you guys my version of it. Now, my version of this would kick off the very next week on Impact. Now, throughout the whole show, I'd have various members of the roster coming up to Jay Lethal, congratulating him and whatnot, while Sonjay Dutt is sitting in the background, all quiet and despondent. Now, Jay Lethal asks Sonjay Dutt to be his best man at the wedding. Now, Sonjay accepts, even though you can see that he's really conflicted about this thing. Jay Lethal, of course, is oblivious as always. Then Jeremy Borash would try to interview Val. Now, if you remember a few weeks back, JB did an interview with Sonjay Dutt after Sonjay came out of seeing Val in the women's bathroom for some reason, and basically told Sonjay, look, I see what you're doing. I'm onto you. You're not fooling me. So I would play that up and have JB ask Val about Sonjay, and Val would then get really flustered and evasive and then quickly excuse herself. Now the next week, JB is doing a regular interview with somebody, could be anyone, doesn't matter who, and then when that person leaves, JB looks to the side and he points to something, and then the camera guy turns and we see Sonjay and Val 20-30 feet away. They're standing really close together. They both look upset. Val's crying. They notice the camera and then Val runs away from it. JB tries to question Sonjay about this, but Sonjay doesn't say anything. He just watches Val leave. Things would continue along that vein until the wedding at Slammiversary. Now, when they get to the part where the priest asks anyone if they have any reason why these two should not be joined, blah, 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 no one speaks up. Then the priest goes on, then by the power vested in me, and then Sonjay stops him. Sanjay's like, Jay, you're my best friend. I'm sorry about this, but I can't let this happen. The truth is, I care about Val. I have for a long time, and I think she cares about me too. And Jay Lethal's like, what is this? What the hell are you talking about? But then he looks at Val, and she's just staring at the floor, looking all guilty. And so finally, the light bulb goes on in Jay's head, and Lethal accuses her of cheating, and she's all, no, it's not like that, you don't understand. And then he gets in Sanjay's face, and while the two of them are arguing, Val gets out of the ring, and she runs away crying. Lethal realizes she's gone, and he runs after her, and Sonjay, leaving Sonjay in the ring by himself, he gets frustrated, and then he destroys the whole wedding set. And the next Thursday night on Impact, Jay Lethal, not Black Machismo, mind you, but Jay Lethal, comes to the ring, and he calls out Sonjay. Sonjay gets in the ring, he acts really apologetic about everything, and tries to explain that it was really hard for him to do that, but Jay Lethal's having none of it. He's like, bullcrap. You're supposed to be my best friend. How could you do this to me? I make you my best man and you ruin my wedding? What kind of friend does that? And then Sonjay gets pissed off and he grabs the mic and he's like, you're calling me a bad friend? Are you kidding me? All those months you were X Division champion. How many title shots did I ask you for? None. And yes, I know Sonjay did have a title shot against Lethal at one point, but we can play it up like Matt Morgan made the match, and Sonjay didn't ask for it. Matt Morgan just made the match on his own. And so Sonjay continues, he's like, sure, I wanted to be X Division champion too, but I wasn't about to try to take the title from my best friend because you told me over and over again that title meant more to you than anything in the world. And then I watched as Giant Divine stole that title from you and you just sat back and let it happen. You didn't do squat to try to get that belt back. And to be honest, that really pissed me off. But I didn't say anything. And do you remember what happened after you got that title back, Jay? You remember what happened to Lockdown? I saved your ass in Lethal Lockdown. The only reason you left the cage with that belt was because of me. Because I stuck around to support you and I helped you out. And what happened after that? You had your title belt stolen again, Jay. Petey Williams jumped you from behind, ripped you off, and you didn't even care enough about it to ask for a fucking rematch. And for the first time, I started thinking that maybe that title didn't mean that much to you after all. Maybe you just didn't want me to have it. And for months and months, I watched you date the girl that should have been with me, you two parading around in front of the whole damn world, and still I said nothing. And after all that, after all I've done for you, after all we've been through together, After I speak up one damn time, you have the nerve to look me in the eye and call me a bad friend? I ought to knock you on your ass for saying that. And then Jay Lethal gets in Sonjay's face, and he's like, well, I'm standing right here. If you want to take a shot at me so bad, then take it. And so Sonjay hauls back, and he almost punches him, but then he doesn't. And he drops his fist, he gets out of the ring, and he walks away. Now, a couple weeks go by. Val still has not reappeared. So Sonjay and Lethal are getting into arguments. They're having to be pulled apart every single week until finally Jim Cornette gets pissed off. Jim Cornette gets pissed off. He basically says, I'd hate to see a long-term friendship get ruined, and I'm sick of seeing you two at each other's throats every 5 minutes. So he says he's going to give them a reason to work together whether they want it or not. And he makes a match between the two of them and LAX for the tag team titles. Now, after some communication problems, they end up actually working really well together. They have a long competitive match. They come really close to winning the titles, but LAX beat them in the end. Now, after the match, Jay Lethal extends his hand to Sonjay. They shake, they hug, and the announcers sell it like these two are like bickering siblings, and they just needed to get beaten up a little bit before they could put their differences aside. So all the frustrations are vented now, at least it looks like it, and everyone's happy that Jay and Sonjay are buddies again. They leave the ring together, and then Val appears on the ramp. It's the first time that we've seen her since Slammiversary. Now, she has a mic, and she says that she's been really confused these last few weeks. She's been trying to make sense of the whole thing, but the truth is she cares about both of them. But she can't choose between them because they were friends before she met either of them, and she doesn't want to come between them. While she's saying this, Sonjay turns around, takes a few steps away from the whole thing, looking really upset. Val says the only fair thing that she can think to do is to just walk away, just remove herself from the whole situation. She says she's sorry, she puts down the mic, and she leaves. So she leaves both of them, so neither of them get the girl. So Jay is upset too, but he walks over to Sonjay, and it looks like he's trying to let bygones be bygones. Then Sonjay whirls around, decks him with a punch, destroys him with a steel chair, and finally, all the soap opera stuff is off the table, and you have your feud. And eventually I'd incorporate the X Division title into the whole thing, have them feud over that too. So that's it. I love getting feedback, whether it's good or bad. So let me know what you think. Talk to you guys later. I'm out.